Welcome to Punky's World. Thank you so much for joining me. I realized after I fell in the other video that I really gave you the really condensed version of the story of the fire barn. So I want to tell you the story that I wanted to tell you before I busted up my knee. There'll be a picture of the fire barn over here. Anyway, here. I can't do it. Wait a minute. Here. That is hilarious. The full version of the story is that there was a chicken farm there, as I mentioned in the video briefly. And the chicken farm burnt to the ground in about 1975, I believe it was. Well, when the chicken farm burnt to the ground, first of all, I was living right across the street, which is what caused my fear of fire. That and some exploding transformers, which is another whole story, but anyway, the house I lived in also has since burnt down. And they just kind of buried it after it burnt down. Funny story though, right after it burnt down, all the rats and stuff that would go in and eat the, steal a few eggs, eat them, whatever, that lived in there were homeless. Well, they decided to take up residence in the people's homes on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Street. What is called Frog Village, because it was the French part of town. Not that the whole village of Manchaug wasn't French, but, And a lady who lived in the next house to us put one of these rather large-sized rats into a shoebox, brought it to town meeting, placed the shoebox on the table, and said, "You're going to tell us again we don't have rats. What are you going to do about it? Go Tilly." That's hilarious, but it's a God's honest true story. And they couldn't deny it anymore. Anyway, oh my knee. So after it burnt down, I did just kind of buried everything. In fact, when it was burning, everybody in that little village had their fire hose, well, not fire hoses, their garden hoses and bucket brigades, and somehow a little volunteer fire department and a bunch of residents saved that village from absolute ruin. It's an amazing story that my parents witnessed. And somehow got me out of there, which they were trying to figure out how are we going to get the people out, because this fire is burning and it's starting to burn the woods, and we've got to get the people out. And they did get us out walking. They almost had to put us in a boat across the pond, but they got us out. And these are my parents' recollections. I was a baby. I was like a year old. And maybe a little less than that. So after all was said and done, they buried it. Well, what they didn't know at the time was the chicken feces is highly carcinogenic. A couple of decades later, all of a sudden, the town of Manchaug is riddled with cancer. So when I was going through treatment for my first cancer, my mother and I were going through and documenting how many cancers just looking out our windows. And my nurse, my home nurse, said, Can you go to, like, really make me a spreadsheet, go to the town hall and get, all these causes of deaths, dates. So we did. And I am telling you, it was awful. And she said, in a town this size, because I believe Manchaug has a population of 200, I believe there were 800 mailboxes, but like in the post office, but I believe the population's less than that, of the village itself. And I believe it was 200 last I knew. To have that many cancer patients and that many deaths and that many survivors just isn't okay. But nobody would listen, even to her, because they were all different cancers. Well, right before the biggest cluster happened, they built the fire barn right over that spot, digging up and disturbing all the chicken waste. And so, thus putting that carcinogen into the air. And cancer still runs rampant in the town, unfortunately. Cancer also runs rampant in the Sutton school, among the teachers, among some students. So I don't know if there was something there as well. But yeah, not good. We had a cluster of breast cancer among the teachers in that school. Don't know what that was caused by. It's insane. And I really wanted to share that with you because I think it's important that it's out there that chicken feces is highly carcinogenic. And nobody talks about it. Probably because it doesn't cause just one cancer, which is why it didn't get the publicity of other cancer clusters where you have a whole bunch of brain cancers or a whole bunch of breast cancers or a whole bunch of leukemias or whatever. It's because it causes all different cancers. As rare as Hodgkin's lymphoma is, you should not have two cases in a town of 8,000 people, one in a female and one in a 10-year-old little boy at the very same time. It just shouldn't happen. Neither of those groups should get it. A 24-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy should not get it to begin with. And to have them both in the same town at the same time, which I was the 24-year-old girl and I was a 10-year-old boy at the same time. Oh, and I just have to say while we're on the subject, I freaking hate the new Hodgkin's commercial. First of all, it makes it sound like it's a much worse diagnosis than, yes, it's cancer and the treatment is terrible and you vomit and yeah, it's not fun. I'm not gonna say it's fun, but my biggest beef with that commercial is, first of all, it makes it sound like the person's absolutely hopeless. You shouldn't be. It's completely treatable and curable. So not only have you guys sulking, walking up the steps and whatever, but you have the stupid narrator not even pronouncing it correctly, calling it Hodgkin lymphoma. No, it's Hodgkin's, apostrophe S, named after Dr. Thomas Hodgkins. And when you finish treatment and your Hodgkin's is gone, in support groups, online and stuff, we say Thomas Hodgkins died and the date that you finished, the date you were declared cancer-free. because Thomas Hodgkins was the name of the doctor, and um, so that's what we say in the Hodgkins community. But it's Hodgkins, apostrophe S, not Hodgkin. Every time I hear that commercial, I get so ticked off. I don't know if it's on TV yet. I assume it's the new biologics that they're using, because the ABVD, they changed one of them to a biologic. So it's like ABV and a biologic, I think. Could be wrong. And or maybe AVD, maybe the Bleo is what they changed, because the Bleo is the most dangerous one, and the biologic. So that's probably what they're advertising. I don't know, because I hit skip ad because it infuriates me. It also infuriates me that they make it sound like it's hopeless without this. No, it's not. I had ABVD, I did just fine. You know, it's not hopeless. And there's MOP, and there's CHOP, and there's, I mean, I'm sorry. There are a lot of ways to treat it successfully. So I just think they need to be more clear about that, and less having a guy walking up the steps sulking with a narrator who can't even pronounce the name of the frickin' disease he's talking about. So that's my rant on that. Seriously, it's treatable, it's curable. I'm here. let's see, 99, 2009, 2019 was 20, 21, 23 years later. Almost 24. Which is insane. Actually, yeah, 23 just passed, actually. Labor Day. Labor Day became a very special day for me. It was the day I got out of the hospital after my last treatment. So. And it's funny that it should be Labor Day, because Labor Day weekend was always fun for me. You know, with the telethon and everything. I always enjoyed that when I was a kid. I was a huge Jerry Lewis fan, still am. And Labor Day was also a big deal for me because, this is going to sound silly, but I learned to shave my legs on Labor Day. My mother taught me how to shave my legs. Labor Day evening, as the telethon was ending, I was in the bathtub and my mother taught me how to shave my legs. Because I was tired of the other kids saying I had hair on my legs. I was 13. It was time. So she taught me. She told me, don't worry about your armpits. Gotta be at least 16 for that. I never grew hair under them, or just barely peach fuzz under one of them. So, and all my female friends say, how did you manage that one? Not a clue, man, not a clue. So, if I had one, I'd clue you in. Thank you so much for joining me. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And I want to thank everybody who's watching. I already have like 4 views, maybe 6 views on one of the videos I put up yesterday, and 3 or 4 on the other one. I can't thank you enough for that. And again, I'm sorry that I put the wrong intro video on the Kid Missing one. I just was not going to go back and re-edit it for one thing that was not consequential to the video. So, God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.